grab your mocha, grab your latte, grab your cappuccino, whatever the hell you're drinking, settle on in. It's your host for today, Jobbers and Goons. This is Coffee Shop Comics, and we have another cosmology exploration video. Now, I had a bunch of videos that were supposed to drop around Christmas, but unfortunately I did it like stream style. That got copyrighted, and I was sick, so it was hard to re-record. But finally, we're getting back to it, so you guys are going to get a ton of content before New Year's. I'm super excited. But getting into this is a Lord of the Rings cosmology. We are going to briefly run through the several layers of the cosmos. This is basically a series where I take a fictional cosmology, break it down to the basics, what layers there are, what they'd roughly scale to, what it composes of, and hopefully give you guys a pretty good sense of how the verse works. If you guys enjoy content like this, make sure to smash the like button and check out my main channel, Jobbers and Goons, where I drop content like this as well as hilarious content like Goon series and Jobber series. But getting into this, it's the exploration of the Lord of the Rings cosmology. I hope you guys enjoy. Without further ado, let's begin. Now, first of all, for those that ask, hey, where can I learn all this? Where can I learn about the cosmology? The best place to go, no doubt. The Silmarillion, written by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is the best absolute source for cosmology for Lord of the Rings, and it's a pretty interesting read. But getting into this, we're going to start from the smaller layers and get to the top, okay? Get to the big dogs. So first layer we have is Middle Earth. Now, I know some people might expect me to give some crazy scaling from Middle Earth, but besides having some pretty amazing characters with assortments and arrays of different abilities and capabilities, this isn't some crazy planet in scaling. Like, it's not some planet that's universal in size or anything. It's probably Earth Plus, but it does have very capable characters on it. But in terms of having like crazy scaling, this isn't really a layer of the verse that has anything wild. The Shire and all of Middle Earth, it's pretty normal in scaling. So we have to go elsewhere for the crazy shit. So the next layer to talk about is really creation. Like, what's the cosmos of Lord of the Rings? While it's not really something that's heavily harkened upon throughout the works, we do know that creation should at least consist of some of the physical things like dimensions, time, space, the stars, the universe. At worst, it's like 3D, 4D plus. At best, you know, it's hyperversal if we just say, oh, it's all dimensions and everything. But this isn't really a layer that's talked upon that much, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. But yeah, you could say anywhere from like 4D to hyper for creation. Next layer, we have the underworld or the outcasted type or rebels. These are almost like Luciferian type in nature, with the way that it's almost like a betrayal story of the fallen angels and outcasted rebels trying to go against God. And as a result, this layer, I would definitely say, is further than creation. They were outside of it at one point at the very least. There probably is its own underworld. So I would say potentially outer, but definitely extra dimensional. Next, we have the original God thoughts. Now, these are beings conceptualized by the likes of the god of the verse who we'll get to soon, Aaron. And these God thoughts are concepts. They are beyond time, space, physical dimensions, dimensionality itself, logic. They're beyond even imagination itself, and the imagination and comprehension of both man and elves. Like, it's that far beyond. As a result, these God thoughts, these conceptual beings, they would be outerversal in nature, and they could reside anywhere from the underworld to heaven. But we do know for a fact they are very powerful level to this verse. The next layer would be heaven, or the heavenly structure created by Eru. Now, this is simply put a realm in which Eru decided he would like to create and manifest in order for his god thoughts to kind of realm and house themselves. So the concepts he created and these beings were given a home in the likes of heaven, which is beyond everything we mentioned before. And like I said, is almost like this house of archetypes or concepts in which Eru allows many of them to reside and take up home in. Now, obviously, given its scales above other outer realms, it should be outer in nature as well. And moving on from this layer, we would get to the first light. Now, this is a layer you could probably contest in being something that actually exists. However, something I feel at least is worth mentioning in terms of the cosmology. Now, the first light would be a simple reference to the godlike beam of archetypal light shot forth by Eru. Now, this was done to breach the void of darkness or nothing and create stuff. And in order to do so and create, the first light needed to exist. So I would say the first light does at least deserve a mention in terms of the cosmology and should fit in right here. And given it helped birth stuff like narratives, dimensions, concepts, archetypes, all that, first light definitely well into outer. Next, we have the void of darkness, or the void of nothing. Now, before concepts, narratives, stories, dimensions, math, logic, all these things, there was nothing. This nothingness was in a void. All the things you love about Lord of the Rings, this void predates. Eventually, from this void, something would come forth, but before something, there was nothing. This void of darkness would be well into outer and should predate everything, and was not breached until the first light. Now, smash the like button if you haven't already. We're trying to get to like 100 per video on this channel. We have the final layer, which would be the, simply put, Eru, or Godhead, or God. Or, he's spelled a couple ways. But Eru, essentially, this is the Godhead, or the godlike being that created the verse. From him, and from wherever he's from, sprouted basically everything. This would include the first light. This would include heaven, creation, all the angels and the angel-like beings, the Vayar, the Mayar, all these fancy creatures you've heard of, creation itself, Middle Earth, all these things sprang forth from musical notes and concepts birthed from Eru, as well as he would scale above the void as well, as he's the one who had a light breach it and should have been from beyond it, as it had not been touched before, yet he was able to easily scale above it and manipulate it, and it was stated he predated all things, which should mean nothing as well. So overall, I would say the strongest peak of the cosmology is the Godhead, or Eru/Ea. And in terms of how strong this is, I would say well into outer as well. Is it high outer? I don't know. I don't know the exact qualifications of high outer. I will say it's several layers into high outer, and overall, I do believe that the Lord of the Rings cosmology has a lot more layers to it than people think. Although a lot of the characters you mostly think of in Lord of the Rings don't scale to the higher layers of the cosmology, so sometimes I completely understand why it goes missing in terms of conversation about strong cosmologies. But yeah, Lord of the Rings is no jokes in terms of how strong the cosmos are, and is definitely something you should check out and be mindful of. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about the Lord of the Rings mythos and cosmology, about how strong it is as well. I had a lot of fun doing this video. I hope you enjoyed this journey, and if you want any info on the Lord of the Rings cosmology, join my server. Links in the video descriptions of my main channel. I have different scans of the Silmarillion. You can see, as obviously this video was mostly just podcast style. But thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy Jobbers and Goons. This has been Coffee Shop Comics, and we will see y'all later. Peace.